Hey, everyone. This is the first video episode of the MikeyPod podcast. I'm Michael Herron. I'm a pianist, composer, electronic musician, and storyteller based in New York City. On this podcast, I have conversations with fellow creators about their work, their process, questions they're asking and answering with their creative lives. This is something new, so I'm a little, how's this going to work? If you don't already know, I've been already doing the MikeyPod podcast for like 20 years almost, I think. I think I started it in 2025. I guess it is 20 years, right? No, I started in 2005. It's been off and on since then. I'm bringing it back. And I figured since I'm doing recording with video anyway, I might as well share these video episodes. So it might be a little bumpy at first because I'm trying to sort of feel how to make this work. But what I'm going to do typically is take the video of just the interview I do on the podcast and bring it over here. And when necessary, like today, I'm going to do an interview or an intro so people know what, oh my gosh, why do I feel so awkward doing this? Because I'm used to doing this audio only. So when it's necessary, I'm going to do an intro like today to sort of give you a rundown of what's going on. One thing you should know, well, I guess this is the second time I said one thing you should know. Go to MikeyPod.com to get the whole episode. I'll put a link in the bio. It's also in all of the podcast directories and all that kind of stuff. It's like 300 some odd episodes. So there's a ton of episodes to check out if you do like this. And also you should check out Brett Gleason, who's today's guest, and his music and all this kind of stuff. So all the links and show notes you'll need will be in the description box below this video. And I should tell you about Brett Gleason because he's the guest today. He is a writer and a musician. He's been on the podcast before. And he has recently made the shift toward doing more writing, which I thought was really interesting to talk about, as well as he made a pretty big move. I mean, this is a really big move from New York City to LA. So we talk about a lot of that stuff, about his writing. He's writing a memoir called Moody and Gay. And that's all we need to know. You're going to hear us talk about a song, which I'm not going to put on the video version of this. I encourage you to check out Brett's music. And if you want to hear the full episode with the music and everything, go to MikeyPod.com. All right, I think I did it. Let me know what you think about this. It's going to be sort of interesting doing two versions of each podcast. Maybe I'll mention also there's a bonus video podcast with each episode that'll be posting here. That's on Patreon. Check out patreon.com/Michael Herron. I don't want to be trying to sell you on a bunch of stuff on this first episode. This is also very much an experiment to see where this lands. So thanks for checking it out. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I will see you in the next one. All right, bye. That was Censor Deprived from Brett Gleason, who is joining me now. Brett is a musician, a writer. I've done a longer bio of you in the beginning of the podcast, but hello, Brett, and a friend. Hello.
Hey, how are you, Michael? It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for agreeing to be on the show. This is the first time I've been doing this podcast forever, but this is my first okay, this is going to be a video podcast too. So
I'm
excited. You're the first.
Are you
Welcome.
Serious?
Yeah. I haven't really done this as a video yet.
Yeah, you got to have video content now.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun, but we should talk about you. Let's talk about that song before we get into your writing, which has become a big part of your creative process now. What can you tell us about this song?
I mean, I wrote it, I guess I wrote it like 2-3 years ago now, but it takes so long to put a song out that by the time you release it, you're like, I don't really feel like that anymore. But it's kind of about how it takes me time to figure out how I feel, which is always troublesome and sometimes problematic, because if I get into conflicts or issues, especially in close relationships with people, they kind of want my response right away. And if I give them an immediate response, it's often not really how I feel. So a lot of times it won't be until the next day or the next week where I really can be alone and have some downtime and journal and be away from the pressure of the situation that I can be like, actually, this is how I think. So I often will have inauthentic, immediate responses when I'm pressured to. or I'll have no response, which really frustrates people. So, I think when I wrote that, I was kind of just like, I was thinking, I was in a dark place being like, oh man, I'm fucked up. I have no feelings. I'm not right. And now I've kind of more come to the conclusion of like, no, I'm different. It takes me a minute. And if you can't be patient with that, if you can't understand my process, then, that's it's an issue.
Yeah, I really relate to that so well. I think this is what I appreciate about your work in general, your writing and your music is you're self-aware about some of this stuff and open and like kind of what you just said of like, well, this is how I am. And it's not like it doesn't feel like there's an apology with that. And that's not to say I think you're a dick. You know what I mean? I'm not saying, I think I'm over explaining this.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I've spent enough time apologizing in my day-to-day life. I'm not going to do it in my art.
Yeah. I have that same thing or like a similar thing where often like something will happen or like there'll be some interaction with my boyfriend or, whoever else. And it's not until later that day or the next day that I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I didn't like that. But it's and time has passed, conversations have happened, and then I have to be like, I'm really upset about that thing you said yesterday. And they're like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, and feeling like, why have you been hanging on to this? I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't know until a little while ago. So now I'm telling you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like in the moment, I just want to resolve the conflict or I just want to address them. And I'll be really quick to be like, oh, I'm fucking sorry. I'm so sorry. And then next
Yeah.
be like, I'm actually not that sorry. In fact, I'm kind of angry.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have the flip side of that too that I also have to work on, which is just flying off the handle without like, so it's either like delayed reaction or immediate too big of a reaction. I don't know if you have that flip side of it too. No, just the delay.
no. But good for you for being in the feeling of it and then being able to come back and own it.
Yeah. I mean, it's often also, I don't want to say the incorrect feeling, but it's not accurate for how I'm ultimately going to land with that, whatever interaction it is.
Yeah. And, I think that people would rather, in my experience, I think people would rather have some kind of response.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'd rather have a big emotional response than no response because that's the most infuriating thing, especially when it's someone who loves you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, being able to continue the conversation and continue to speak and converse about it is, ultimately how you grow closer, even if you just want it to be done.
Yeah. You've had two like big shifts in your life that I know about. One is your move from New York to Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is your focus now on writing. I didn't really intend to combine those, but is there some kind of connection there in the switch before as we get to those two topics?
Sure. I mean, ultimately both are kind of from being a bit burnt out,
Mm-hmm.
and craving a change. I felt like I grew up in a suburb of New York. I lived in New York for my entire adult life. So, for like 20 years and, just wanted a change and felt kind of burnt out. I felt like I had changed a lot personally, but was still in the same place. And it's difficult to change, but still see the same things every day. I felt like I was becoming a more positive, happier person, and I wanted my surroundings to reflect that. I wanted more nature. I wanted more space. I wanted more sun. I also wanted to shift my career and felt there were more opportunities to do here. I kind of just wanted to start over, and it's kind of nice to do that somewhere new. Also, there came a point where I was just like, am I going to live here the rest of my life? Like, I'm getting older. It's hard to just start. It gets harder and harder to start over as you get older, I think.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get up and do something different. In New York, you meet so many people who moved there from somewhere else. And I think that's really inspiring. And I never had that opportunity to just start over. Where are you from?
I'm from Texas.
Yeah. So you know
Yeah. Yeah, and I moved here to New York when I was probably 37, 38.
Mm.
And it was a similar, I mean, I guess it's different because, and this is something that really surprised me. I worked at Starbucks. It was one of my first jobs when I got to New York. And there was, I mean, there's a lot going with that. I was in my late 30s, like, okay, Starbucks it is. Um, and there was a kid that I worked with who was like, he couldn't wait to get out of Brooklyn.
Mm.
And he was just like, he would ask me these questions like, did you have a yard where you lived? Like he was so into like something that he didn't experience. Like it seemed like the way New York City, I'm sure it seemed to me, of like this, wow, like this whole magical different place.
Yeah.
I think New York City has a more of a mystique than Houston, but yeah, it was interesting, kind of realizing like, oh, everyone that lives here isn't like, oh, we live in the greatest place ever. Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of, I mean, you kind of don't know any different. And I mean, granted, I grew up in the suburbs, but I still kind of I only lived in studios, and eventually I was getting all this music equipment, and like it was just slowly crowding me out. And
Yeah.
I got a dog during the pandemic, and I was like, it was just not a great life for both of us. And I just wanted something new,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. And that's when I moved at 38 too. So
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking that's a really interesting parallel we have. Because it's been like, because I'm 56 now, so it's been a while.
So what prompted you to move at 38?
A lot of the same stuff. Like I was teaching at a Montessori school that I loved, and like teaching piano, kind of the same stuff I do here. And I was doing theater. I was music directing a lot, and I kind of got to this space where I was like, okay, like if you don't move soon, you're gonna be here. Like kind of what you were saying, like. I'm getting, and 38, 37 isn't old, but it was like you need to go a different place at least once and like see what that is. So like the school things shifted at the school, and I sort of realized like, okay, that's what really hit. I had a moment of like, this is it. Like this is pretty much what you're going to get if you stay here. Is this enough? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was also teaching, and I felt like I'd kind of hit the ceiling with what I could do. I also felt like, with what I was doing in music in New York, I felt like I had kind of saturated the music scene there, or explored everything I could, and whatever I felt like I had made, like right before the pandemic, I felt like I really made some progress, or I finally felt like I had some momentum, and then it all kind of went away. And the thought of kind of starting over again felt really, really rough. So I was like, well, I might as well start over somewhere new.
Yeah.
Which I never really did. And then I got here and I was like, oh man, I don't want to start over here. Like I had an album that I was just about to release, so I released it here, but I had no audience.
Yeah.
So it was all just online promo, but then I was also starting a new career, and then I just like lost all my motivation for music. I was still like inspired writing music, and I had this whole other album worth, but I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Like, I can't just keep spinning my wheels and putting music out there and spending all this money for like such minimal return. And I mean, it didn't happen all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kept I keep trying kind of new different tactics and being like, well, what about this? And what about this? And having some fun with it along the way. And it's kind of how I got into my job. I do marketing and advertising at a label. And so it's got me into doing that. But like, I just couldn't do it for myself anymore. It just felt like it didn't feel fun anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems like that's happened not just in your world. Like it feels like I had that same experience just in general with like online existence. And I think it manifested in me as this like, okay, well, forget everything. and I just didn't do anything anymore. And because I didn't know how I wanted to show up
Yeah.
on like all this online stuff. And it's kind of settling in now, but it took a while. And but it's been cool to watch your process and see how you're leaning into writing so much now, like writing essays that are on their way to being a memoir. Yeah. Moody and Gay is the name of it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the working title. That's the name of my Substack, at least.
Yeah.
And it started like I had a playlist on Spotify called Moody and Gay, which was like all the other like gay rockers that I could find.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm gay, I'm bipolar, so I was like, okay, this is fun. And now I have these essays and stories I write about being gay and bipolar, and or at least that's kind of like the running theme through a lot of them. So, and that was one of my majors in college, was writing. So it was something that I was pursuing seriously, and I kind of had this idea that I would write a novel and have an album to go along with it, and that's pretty daunting. Just doing one of those things is really hard. So I kind of focused on music, and, it would be cool to maybe have music go along with what I'm doing now at some point. I've been enjoying going to readings and reading some of my stories. So it would be cool to kind of put the two together. But for right now, I really need to get back into writing. And so I'm taking some classes online and debating an MFA. But what I really love about writing is that, like, whereas I felt like music, I really felt like I needed an audience for that. And like, yeah, I want people reading my stuff, but especially with memoir, there's an element of it it requires me to be so honest with myself that there's something so healing about it. That it's just inherently a process that I fucking love. Like, I wake up every morning doing it and looking back on these stories of my life that at the time I kind of had one eye closed while I was going through it, just in survival mode. And now I'm looking back at it being like, oh, that's what that meant. Like, oh, I had no idea what I was doing or why I was doing that, but I was really kind of like compensating for this or hiding from that, or it's really fascinating.
Yeah. It's cool. The idea of writing every morning is super appealing to me, and I haven't gotten there yet. Is it something that you're like forcing on yourself isn't the right phrase, but are you having to like really be like, no, sit down, do it, making yourself be regimented, or is it coming pretty naturally to you?
Oh, it's I don't have to force it on myself. I will say, like, the bulk of the time it's editing and reworking and writing what I've read, because, I'll kind of sit down with a vague idea of what I want to write and just get everything out. But that's maybe a quarter or even a fifth of the process. And then it's kind of rereading through that and being like, well, what was the point of that? So it's a lot of analysis and soul searching and kind of cutting through my own bullshit.
Yeah.
So, I'm sitting in my room at 6 a.m, just like reading my stories to myself. And, I tend to wake up before work anyway, so I have a good 2 hours, and what am I going to go to the gym? So I'd rather write. And
yeah. So you look at the piece, and you said that you asked yourself, what did this mean, or what was this for? One of those you said.
Yeah, like, well, I think of, like, I break it down to a couple things. Like, there's the story and the situation, and there's like the situation is like what happened, like the actual sequence of events, and then there's the story, which is like, well, why am I telling this? Why would anyone want to read this? Why do I feel the need to get this off my chest? Like, what is the meaning behind it?
And then oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, and then I'll actually try to break it down into like, okay, well, how do I get that across? Because once I figure out the point of it, then I realize that there's so much fluff, and then I'll actually try to break it into a plot and have to delete a lot.
Yeah. I'm glad I let you go ahead, because you just answered the question I was going to ask.
Mhm.
basically. Like if it causes you to go back and look at it and restructure it. There's like I did some reading. I'd already read like one or two of your Substack stories, but I read a few more, like the first ones. And because you said that, the one How to Make a Diamond,
Mm.
I'm having this moment of like, I don't want to do any spoilers because everyone should go to your Substack
Someone's gonna
and
read
read
it if
this.
you want.
But you added this, the last line of How to Make a Diamond is just so good. And I wonder if where this was in your process. It turns out that love and life can be messy, but I want it all and I don't have to be perfect to try. That's so
Oh,
good.
I'm so glad you like that. It's funny because I just cut that line.
Oh,
So
you
maybe,
did?
yeah. I mean, like, so I'm in a class right now,
Uh-huh.
and so I'm still working on all these essays. I keep putting stuff out there and then realizing like, oh wait, I'm still learning and getting better. So,
Mm-hmm.
my hope is that these are all just works in progress, and then I'll put them together in a proper compilation. Um, so I think so I cut that line.
No, I kind of love that because it makes this conversation about it more interesting. What was
Yeah,
the reasoning behind cutting it? Like, and I'm not trying to fight for this line. I'm
I
actually
just feel
just
like it's a
curious.
little too like drilling over the reader. Like, this is the point of the essay.
Yeah.
If you didn't get the point of why you read this, this is it. And like, I feel like if I did my job, you would have gotten that.
That's
Like the line before, I feel like the line before it kind of gets that across. Um, but I don't know. Maybe I'll put it back in there because, well, I'm going over it a lot because next week, which is silly because it's over the holiday week, it's my turn to submit another story to the
mm-hmm.
class, and so that's one that I'm going to submit. So I've been working on it a lot, um,
Oh,
and
that's really cool.
and I like editing shit down, but sometimes I edit it too much.
Yeah. But I really love your point, though. And I'm also, if it were any other kind of thing, well, I think I'm thinking too hard about what to say about this. I think that I've read lines before where I'm like, okay, thanks. I already got that. Thanks for this one didn't hit me that way. But
Now
I
I'm
see your point. I see your reasoning.
so like the current. Now I have to pull up. So that essay is about. Now I'm going to pull up what the new line is. Um, so I put a little bit more into what that is. So like that essay is about meeting my first boyfriend and finding out together that he was HIV positive. And I put a little bit more context into it about how I had also um, recently been hospitalized for bipolar disorder, which is like the essay that comes before that. And so throughout that essay, I have a lot of fear that I'm going to seroconvert. And this
Mm-hmm.
is a long time ago, so there wasn't PrEP, and I was really young and I didn't quite understand or trust the ways I could protect myself. So I was very scared of myself, and I ended up getting mono. I ended up getting very sick myself. And so I'm getting tested constantly. It's very scary. And so I was closeted. I ended up coming out to my mom just because I need some kind of truth out in the open. I need some kind of safety. And so I had been very isolated. I was mentally unwell myself. And so this was a very intense year. Okay, synopsized. So now the last line is like, okay, I'm just going to read it. It's pretty long. It was less than a year since I was in the mental hospital, and as much as I'd promised to just put it behind me, I now saw that there was so much I had never dealt with, and the longer I put it off, the more difficult it would become, and the sicker I would get if I didn't. Loving Dylan was my first step towards re-embracing life after rejecting myself and living in the shadows. And then what's the line you like?
Should I read it?
Yeah.
It turns out that love and life can be messy, but I want it all, and I don't have to be perfect to try.
So maybe we put that back. What do you think?
I don't know. Now that I know your point of view on it, and I'm bad about this, like, well, now that you said so, yeah, you're right. But I think your point is good, and I love that as a line by itself, but the part you just read to me is a more, I don't know, it's a little bit more, not open-ended. It doesn't tell the reader how to interpret the whole thing, which I think is a good thing. Yeah, so I think your choice was good.
Okay, thank you.
But I still like the line. I like the line as on its own. You should put that line on a T-shirt.
I love that.
Yeah,
that sounds good. Well, when merch time comes,
yeah,
I'll remember that. But it'll be quoting you now because it's not in any of my pieces.
Oh yeah, and then there'll be a lawsuit. It's gonna be a whole mess.
Fun.
We have to
tape and video.
Oh yeah, be like, guys, why don't you both just tone it down? We have to wrap up this part of our conversation already. As much as I hate to do it, there will be show notes with links to where to find your Substack and all these various things. But do you want to tell where the best place to find you?
Yeah, you should subscribe to my Substack. That's where I'm like posting all my stories. It's all free. I don't have any paid levels or anything because I'm just figuring shit out. So like you don't have to worry about getting bugged to pay. It's just brettgleason.substack.com, or you could just Google Moody and Gay Substack.
Yeah.
Or Ask Jeeves. Whatever you want.
Or check the show notes. And I want to just add, I follow you like on TikTok, and I just follow you a bunch of different places. And the thing is kind of cool, and this having this conversation too, is I feel like I'm a part of your process in a lot of ways, even though it's often just as an observer. So like there's stories that you sort of reference on your TikTok that today I was reading like, oh, wait a second, I think I know a little bit about this story already. So it's kind of cool having like different layers.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I try to make like a little snippet for social media about every.
Yeah.
Really quick, I will say like all the storytelling I do on social media always did way better than all the music I put on social media, and that was partly why I was like, maybe I should get back into storytelling. So
hey, wait a minute. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and likewise. You know, I'm part of your Patreon, and it's great to now reconnect here.
Yeah, I love it. If you are listening to this and you wish we were going to talk more, we're going to do a bonus podcast for Patreon subscribers. It's going to be sort of saucy. So feel free to come and check that out. Thanks for joining me today, Brett.
Anytime. Thank you.